Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, super exciting. L9 is freaking finally official. We do have some specs. We have the release date, which is soon. It's coming in May. We do have also news of another scrypt ASIC. This is the DG1 Plus, and probably the reason that Bitmain decided to finally unveil that L9. Okay, so we're going to talk about both of those new models. We're going to compare it to the competition. We're going to make some estimates on what we think is going to happen, where we think price may lie, because we don't have the exact price yet, but we do have enough information where we can kind of guesstimate where a good value would be. Okay, so if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get to this thing. So just for context, we're going to go over some price action with Doge and LTC, just because we have to take this into consideration as we look at the profitability. Okay, currently there's a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East. BTC halvings in a couple of days, right, which is pretty insane. But there's a lot of volatility, and ultimately we've had a big drawback. Okay, I wouldn't say it's a crash or anything like that, but it is a decent sized dip. Okay, so currently Dogecoin's about 15 cents. Its recent high within the past month was at about 22 cents. Kind of the same story with LTC. It was recently about 110, 111 bucks, currently at $78. So keep in mind, we're gonna look at these profitability numbers, but that's factoring in this pretty nice size dump, right? Which we may go down further, or it may go sideways for a while, right? But just something to factor in as we look at these prices. So L9 is officially announced from Bitmain. Shout out to T-Swift. He was messaging me last night about this thing, so he was one of the first that I had seen that talked about it. So L9 releasing in May, 0.21 joules per mega hash. That's all the info they gave us, but realistically that's enough to have a good idea of some guesstimations of the specs and what's going to give us a good price point, because we do also know two competitors, right? One being this Alphapex unit, the other being that Hashblade, right, from Locotech. So we'll talk about both of those things and kind of see where the value needs to be in order for it to make sense. Okay, so let's go over the other big announcement, which was the Alphapex DG1 Plus. So we did hear of the DG1 just a few weeks ago, and now there is a Plus variant. So pretty impressive, 14,400 mega hash, so 14.4 gigahash at about 4,000 watts though. So hefty unit. Initially, when I first glanced at it, it did just seem like it was going to be an overclocked DG1, right? Because the other one was about 11 gigahash, 3,400 watts. But when we look at a little bit closer, it's not going to be the case, or doesn't seem to be the case, because typically what happens when we do clock it higher, the efficiency goes down. In this case, the efficiency is actually higher on the One Plus, kind of signaling that it is actually different chips, different hardware. Okay, so the DG1 is coming at 0.31 joules to mega hash, whereas the DG1 Plus clocked higher, right? This is almost 4,000 watts, is 0.27 joules a mega hash. Okay, so it is actually more efficient. Okay, so something to note of there. So pretty impressive unit. When we look at profitability, this is for the DG1 Plus. This is at a 10-cent kilowatt hour. It's currently profit-wise, again, this is with the recent dump, it's going to be about $21 and change per day, so about $30 in revenue. So not bad at all, right? Looking pretty good. When we compare it to the regular DG1, this guy's making about 15 bucks in profit a day, so about $23 a day in revenue. Again, same thing at a 10-cent kilowatt hour. So looking not too bad there. Okay. So when we look compared to the L7, right, this 3-year-old guy, it's actually still holding up extremely well. Okay, so this guy's coming in $20 a day revenue, about $12 a day profit. Okay, so 3 years later, still holding up extremely well. Price wise though, that's where things get a little bit tricky, right? So realistically, this guy we know, because we've been tracking these prices all year long, the best time to buy when it was in that $3,000 to $4,000 range for quite a while. Ultimately, it's in like the $5,500 to $6,000 range. Okay, so value-wise, for me, comparing these three, not factoring the new guy yet, I would definitely be going with the L7 over the current Alphapex, the DG1, mainly because of price. Okay, so this is kind of the thing with when we have Bitmain and we have these competitors. I know there's a big narrative going on right now where it's like, buy Bitmain or nothing, everything else is garbage. And I get it. But at the same time, we do need this competition. We need these other manufacturers to be viable, to make it survive in order to give us better prices on these ASICs, guys. If we really go with that mentality where it's like Bitmain or nothing, then guess what? We're going to be paying 50K an ASIC. Okay, that's not going to be viable for us little pleb miners down here. So if we want any kind of chance, we do need all the competition we can get. Okay, and that doesn't mean any kind of crappy competition. We've seen a lot of crappy manufacturers also. Okay, and this is where the risk to reward has to make sense also. So as a note though, talking about that, the price has to be enticing to go with one of these newer manufacturers. My personal opinion in this case, this is not enticing. This is priced pretty much at the same level if Bitmain were to make this unit. For that reason, I would go with the L7. Even just saying what I said, I would go with that. These other manufacturers need to lower the prices. They need to go down to make it more enticing to take that gamble on them. Okay, the best example is with Ice River. They've been very competitive in the pricing, especially comparing to Bitmain, where it's just low enough where it's cheaper to potentially get more hash going through them than going with Bitmain and potentially making it worthwhile. So far, their units, I know there's been a lot of talk with these KS3Ms. I haven't really seen the amount of issues that a lot of people have been having, but this is a good example, right? So far, they've been around going on, what, like 9-10 months now. They've been holding up fairly well. Okay, so this is going to be a bigger manufacturer, hopefully growing in the future. Will Alphapex be another one? Maybe. What I do like they're doing is that they are going to a lot of these shows. They are spending that advertisement money. They will be like at Mining Disrupt, for example. They were just recently where they made this announcement over in Dubai. So that is good signs that they are investing, and hopefully it is a more solid unit, especially in comparison to a lot of the junk we saw last year with like the Blue Stars, the Black Miners, all that. Maybe they'll be better, but again, for us to take that gamble though, it does need to be a better value, right? Because if it's at the same price, I am going to go with the Bitmain, even just saying what I just said. Okay, so something to factor in there. So as we look at the new guy, right? So this is for the L9 now. Okay, so we don't have the full specs, but we can make a guesstimation, right? Typically the bigger Bitmain units, where are they at? Between 3,000 to 3,500 watts. A lot of these scrypt miners tend to be on the heavier side, so we're going to kind of continue that trend. So just by knowing that efficiency ratio, we can kind of make a good guesstimate on what the specs will be. Okay, so my personal guesstimation is anywhere from 16 to 18 gigahash, from 3,200 to 3,600 watts. Okay, so for easy math purposes, just doing 17 gigahash, 3,570 watts, that's factoring that efficiency. That's how we come to this number. Okay, so let's say this unit comes in at $12,000. Okay, so price wise, to me, this has to be around the range it needs to be for it to make sense. Whether or not that's still even a good value is going to be up to you. Okay, but comparing it to the competition, this is kind of around where it does have to be. Okay, so again, when we look at profitability, your total daily revenue would be about $36 a day. Profit-wise, at a 10-cent kilowatt hour, almost $28 a day. And that's at current prices, factoring this current dump. Okay, not factoring in not only where the price was a few weeks ago, but where the price will potentially be come the bull market. Okay, the reason that this is one that has had my big attention is because of the coins that you are able to mine on scrypt, namely being Doge and Litecoin and the whole merge mining aspect, which is fascinating. Okay, you have one that's on the meme side, big with retail. Elon loves this thing. Chances are it's going to do extremely well in the bull market. And then you have Litecoin, one that's been around. It's more of an OG, proof of work. And then considering everything going on with the narrative, whether things are securities, commodities, this is expected to be on the commodity side, right? So if there is things that go on with regulation, and then this could be a big benefit, right? So I love that aspect that you have two like top tier coins that you're merge mining. You can earn both of them. You have different pools where you have options to go all in one side or the other side, but it is extremely fascinating. Okay, this is a much more established ASIC, so pretty good thing there. So price wise, the reason we're saying it needs to be in the 12 to 14K range for it to make sense is again because of the competition. Okay, so if we're estimating this guy will be from 16 to 18 gigahash, the DG1 Plus, which is available now, is about 14 and a half. Okay, so yes, the L9 will be more efficient. It's going to be 0.21 versus the 0.27, but it's not that massive of improvement where it's going to be like earth shattering. Okay, so because Alphapex did come in already, they do have that price. Bitmain needs to be in this region for it to be competitive. Because if they come in at like 18, 20,000, you're going to have that same ice river situation where, in this case, if you want the top tier guy, this guy will make more sense. So it depends on how greedy Bitmain is feeling. And the reason that, to me, this is going to be an important release is that this is going to kind of dictate where the future prices of these other ASICs are going to be. Because if they continue this greedy thing like they did with Caspa, where it was like 40, 50K for that thing, if they come in super high on this one, if they come in like well above 15, if they come to 18, 20, then it's probably going to continue that trend. Like I know a lot of us are excited for the potential lithium ASIC. If this guy comes in overpriced, then expect that a lithium ASIC to be like 40, 50K. So shout out to the ballers out there because y'all are going to be the only ones getting that thing. But if they come in aggressive, so this is where it's going to kind of give us some insight into where their strategy is going to be. Are they going to try to wreck Alphapex and just undercut them? Are they going to come in at like 99.99, right under 10K, and completely bomb this guy and force these guys to lower their price? Maybe. Or are they going to be greedy and go on the higher end, go up to like 16, 18, 20K? We don't know, but shout out to Alphapex for being here and then forcing them to stay within this range. Okay, and then realistically, is it that great of a value anyway at this price? Yes and no, right? Kind of depends on your price point. Realistically, the better buy was the L7 last year when that thing was like 3 to 4K. Okay, so another competitor in this space though is that local tech, that Hashblade. So this one, we have yet to see full confirmation of an entire unit working. Hopefully it does. We're going to see. Hopefully we'll get some updates here pretty soon. I'm hoping we do hear something by June. June is when a lot of people have been saying that we may be seeing something, whether it's review units, maybe the first batch, hopefully at least more information in these coming weeks and months, right? Because we are in April already, so it's kind of sooner than later. And this will give us real insight into whether these things are going to be worth or not, because again, these things are extremely, extremely impressive. And this would be a massive game changer, okay? As we look at it, it is about 2 gigahash for 145 watts. So still, even comparing it with the L9, this guy is about 3 times more efficient still. Okay, so this is going to be an extreme upgrade, and it's kind of the same thing, right? So if we compare price-wise, again, we have to wait and see if this guy is going to be official. But price-wise, I know when this guy was announced, it was like, oh man, the thing's too expensive, because at the time, the L7 was about 3K. Okay, so shout out to Coastal, because they were the ones kind of preaching this, like, okay, you guys are saying it's expensive now, but by the time this thing comes out, it's going to be looking a lot better, and that's already kind of panning out to be the case. And we still haven't even really seen the big uptick in prices yet. Okay, so you just need to factor that in. So we'll do a quick estimation so we can kind of compare. Okay, so if we were to get 7 of those guys, right, because 7 of those guys would bring us into the $14,000 range. Okay, so that kind of brings us in the realm of that DG1 Plus and potentially where this L9 may end up lying. Okay, so the big massive difference is the efficiency here. Okay, if we were to get 7 of them, brings us to about 14 gigahash at about a little over 1,000 watts. Okay, so massive, massive difference in efficiency, right? This is still something, even at this size, you can have indoors. You can have it in like an octominer type setup. Okay, so the price wise is going to be about 14,000, but again, if we compare it to the DG1 Plus, it's not extremely far off considering the savings if this thing does come to fruition. Okay, if we look at the income, you'd be bringing about $30. But profit wise, it'd be $27 just because it's so much less power to run this thing. Okay, the other big comparison, like yes, there is a premium. Again, if this thing is legit, It's the fact that this guy is going to be also profitable for a much longer period of time because it is so much more efficient. Okay, there were times when the L7 wasn't looking too hot because the profitability wasn't too great in terms of like how much revenue we're bringing in in comparison to the amount of electric you were spending every month. Okay, so because this guy is so much more efficient though, you're kind of guaranteeing that you're going to have this guy longer. Okay, it's going to be well into the bull market, even beyond the bull market. Chances are this thing is still going to be fairly profitable. Okay, so this is going to be a massive game changer. Hopefully we get more updates here in the next few months. Now, as far as best values from what we do have, what we do know, because as much as I want to hope that the local tech is here, again, we still don't have a full working hash blade yet. So we can't confirm or deny that yet. What we do know though is we have the L7s, the L9s. We know Bitmain is coming in May, the DG1 and DG1 Plus. So realistically, the best bang for the buck, because I know some of you guys are like, oh man, the L7 is going to be, it's not. It's still going to do extremely well. Like, yes, right now, the efficiency kind of does matter now. It is a bigger deal. When it's an extreme efficiency gain, kind of comparing the local tech to these others, it does make sense. Okay, between the L7 and the L9, not the biggest deal in the world if Doge and LTC does what we think it'll do come the bull market. Okay, it's not something where it's like 5 times the efficiency. It's definitely a good upgrade, but it's not a killer. If the local tech does come to fruition though, depending on how much they can scale that thing though, that's going to be the other big factor. Is that, like, if Bitmain were to come out with something like that, I would feel more threatened because we know they have the capability to mass produce these things. Okay, even if local tech, if they do come out in June, I don't think necessarily they're going to have like 50,000 of them ready to go. Okay, it's going to be a slower process. They're going to get them out slowly, and it's going to take a while. Okay, so you have to factor that in. So will the L7 be irrelevant? No, I think it's still going to do extremely well, as it has, which is insane to say that it has been doing for the past 3 years, and I think it's still going to be fairly profitable even into the bull market all the way through. Okay, it's still going to be a very, very solid ASIC. Now, is it worth it at 6K? No. Would it be worth it if the price goes down because of these new releases? It would be worth a second look, but realistically, the best gains were the people who bought it when it was under 4K, when it was 3,000, 3,200, 3,500 for those different variants over the past year, because they've already been mining on it for a year. A lot of those guys are pretty close to their break even or pretty close to a good amount of yield, right? They also got to take advantage of getting LTC before they're having. They had a lot of good insights by getting in early. Would I buy a L7 right now at 6K? No. Would I buy the DG1? Probably not either. We really have to wait and see where the L9 gets priced. That's going to be a big determining factor. Okay, if they undercut these guys and they come out 8 to 10K, would look pretty freaking good. Again, if they come in greedy at 16, 18, 20K, not so hot. So luckily it is releasing in May though, so that is kind of better for us. Because after a certain point, whether it's May, June, July, August, who knows when we really start rising like crazy. Maybe it happens right after the halving. There is going to get a certain point where it's just going to, at the flip of a switch, a lot of these ASICs are going to be unattainable. So if you're interested in any of these ASICs, guys, it's going to eventually come to a point where it's just going to be unattainable. Okay, just like it was last bull market when NES 19 was like 10 to 12K plus. Okay, so just keep those things in mind, because like as we saw, right, as soon as the prices go up, things skyrocket through the roof. Okay, and it is going to come to a point eventually where it may just be one huge candle and we never really look back from there. Okay, so a lot of things to consider, a lot of things to think about. The biggest thing is just where Bitmain prices this thing, because it'll also give us insight into the pricing for future models. Okay, because remember the lithium ASIC, they are supposed to be releasing an Alio ASIC, potentially a Radiant ASIC in the future, right? It'll kind of give us an idea, but again, the sooner the better, because again, who knows when? Again, maybe May, June, July, August, September, October, who knows? But eventually within these next 6 months, it is very likely that ASICs will get to a point that us pleb miners will not be able to afford any longer. and are going to be forced out of the game, just like we were last bull market. Okay, right now, these things are still attainable. Prices are still within range. It's up to you to decide on which route to go, which things to go with. Okay. Let me know in the comments, guys, what you guys think. Are you guys excited about this? I know this is one I will be looking at closely, because this is one that's definitely on my radar, because I've been looking for something new, right? I definitely have been more leaning towards getting an ASIC, but again, I don't want to get any of these things that have been out for over a year. This is extremely enticing. Okay, between this, the local tech, maybe getting one of these guys that's not so efficient, and then increasing that efficiency with the hash blades if they do come to fruition, right? So any of you guys who got like an L7, for example, you're probably going to make out better than somebody buying an L9 right now, right? If you picked it up, like let's say at $3,200 and the hash blade does come to fruition, between buying that guy and buying like 2 to 3 hash blades, you're going to be in the range of these guys and probably still more efficient. Okay, so it's going to have a total price being cheaper than what these guys will potentially be. Okay, so just something to factor in there. Again, a lot of game-changing things, right? So the L9 could be game-changing. The hashblade could be game-changing. Hopefully, realistically, I thought we would have heard more news by now. Again, we're mid-April already. Okay, so if this thing would be coming to market in June, I would expect at least one full completed assembled demo unit should be available. Maybe it's coming soon. Maybe they're just waiting for that announcement. Maybe they have it already and they're just waiting for the right time to do it, right? So we're definitely going to be keeping our eyes open, because this is a big deal, especially right now where the ASICs are still attainable, okay? So again, let me know in the comments, guys, what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think of the price. Where do you guys think it's going to be at? Is it going to be, are they going to go greedy? Are they going to go in the 20K range? Or are they going to go for the killer mode like they did with the KA3 and come in like aggressive at like 8K or something, right? The way it's been going, it's probably going to be the latter. It's probably going to be a crazy price, but we'll see. Maybe they'll surprise us. We will find out hopefully soon, right? So thank you for watching, guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys, and I am out.